What is a twin flame? Could 86,000 people answer this question? Um, so, lost divine masculine can't know what a twin flame is. I'm sure we'll get a good explanation from someone. Inquiring minds beating down the doors to find out what is a twin flame. You could ask AI what a twin flame origin is, and there's no shortage of feminine divine influencers that have all the answers. And some of them even get close. They're like science and spirituality, something on the border there. A divine feminine's path to like divine attunement or something. It's funny because they really harp on the divine feminine side, but Starseeds has to do with paternal astrology and reading your birth signs based on your conception date and your birth date. So it has as much to do with the father as the mother in the situation, or both the divine masculine and feminine. Part of your moon sign, or basically the phase of the moon when you were born and also conceived. I've even seen some creators do stuff like this that was just like inches away from being there. But let's look at it. Like, we got hearts, right? And if you flip it over, cello, it's a flame. So you have a twin flame because the flames have the same shape as an upside down heart. And I don't want to kill you with math, but this involves all kinds of astronomy and you name it. It's how to figure out a twin flame. So there's different mathematical equations for different shapes of hearts. And if you could try to imagine a Fibonacci spiral, if you have just one of them and you add its reverse opposite to it, you get the shape of a heart going both ways. And what we're doing here is we're looking at a spiral curve from a bunch of different perspectives. If you could try and imagine a light wave being somewhat like a tapered screw. And this so much we've learned that we can measure the different dimensions of the spiral from the beginning to the end as it gets smaller and smaller. But since light is a tapered spiral, at some point it gets so small and diminished that it doesn't return. Basically, light that goes out does not return to its source, and all energies are not destroyed, but they're only transferred or moved. So that light has to return to its source, or it causes what's called a vacuum or a black hole, where you have a white dwarf star on this side and a black hole on this side. Now the stretch in light particles creates this golden zone in the middle. It's neither too hot or too cold. And if you join them in the center, they're reverse images of each other. And this is where we get the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere of a galaxy, because every galaxy is balanced. There's just as much mass as on one side as there is the other, or else it'll collapse in on itself. But something fun happens when light does collapse in on itself. It creates essentially what would look like a yin-yang spiral, but is not really documented well in science. Science learned through the study of different species' eyesight that different spectrums could be perceived by changing the optics of the vision. But the actual pictures of entwined particles don't look like yin-yangs. But if you take the actual images and cut a splice through them at a diagonal angle, you'll have something that looks like a yin-yang. And this science of spectrometry measures the radius angle, or the orbital velocity of the electron as it's entwined in the particle. Here you see vertical, diagonal, horizontal, and then diagonal again, and it's measuring this electron at different intervals of the light wave. And the formation of matter or molecules has a lot to do with this, because if you measure the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary measurements of the molecular bonding structures of carbon atoms, you see the different forms that it takes shape, and each one has to do with a interval. If you imagine chopping up a light wave into halves or thirds or quarters. And with this science, we're able to measure the alpha, the beta, and the delta derivative functions of the light waves, or essentially the red, the blue, and the green. And because of this, we've learned that there's a direct relationship between sound, light, color, and the Fibonacci spiral. And remember what I said, that sometimes a light wave goes out and doesn't return to its source, and this creates an antiparticle that creates distortion, or essentially sound, that pushes other light until it finds its reciprocal product. And because of this, all the different colored light waves lump themselves into different groups at different frequencies. Spectrometry has shown us that every particle is made up a different arrangement of certain light waves. So much that everything in nature has this Fibonacci spiral built into it. And the molecules, matter that make up the human body, spell out the Fibonacci sequence. Here you see going from red to blue, you got 1, 2, 3 red, and then 4 green, and then 6 yellow, and then another 12 blue. It's just like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, just like the Fibonacci sequence until you get up to purple. Now, the same way you can measure distortion in sound, you can also measure the same distortion in light. And you can see that two light waves or sound waves are out of tune if their sine waves don't match. But what you might not know is that heating up a light wave will change the kinetic energy of that particle or the color of the light wave. And because our bodies are like small furnaces, we use the addition or subtraction of chemicals to change light patterns so that we can process them into usable energy. Now remember our starseed reading? This seems like a mess, but did you know if you measure patterns or chord frequencies in a musical chart, you get these triangles? And here you can use harmonization on a quaternary spectrum to link different notes to make a chord. And if you have a perfect symmetrical shape, you get perfect harmony. Now remember how the initial Egyptian Enneagram worked with the 9 deities to go from gold all the way around to gold at the top again. And the dragon alphabet uses the 12 symbols around the outside. So what you have is your tertiary and your quaternary vectors. What we're doing is we're measuring the different motions of the moon by quarters, thirds, and halves, because when it's furthest away, it shines mostly blue light, and when it's closest to the sun, it shines mostly red light in reflection. And because of this, it really matters what time of year you're born as to what type of physical traits you may have. And different species have different gestation cycles, and humans are one of the few mammals on Earth that actually has a menstruation cycle. That's because as the moon rotates around the Earth, it's actually showing the light from the previous day, because what came first was actually dark. Because of this, depending on what time of year you're born, determines what type of color molecules make up your human body. And you see here, if you have Oro-Gemini or as your sun sign or your birth month, then you go from your birth month and your conception month here, and it points to a new Aries up here, which is a ratio or a halfway point between these two, and that's your star seed, right? Now this person on this side is twin flame with the person on the equal and opposite side, like two sides of a heart or two sides of Fibonacci spiral, because that spiral section is the same. And this is where you get the Arabic words like Azam, you got Aza, A-Al, and Anu, A-Anu, right? By what letters are inside these triangles. This is Enochian magic, and it's a little hard to explain. And here's mine, and you can see it's on the Pisces, and my 3 power signs are Aquarius, Pisces, and Gemini here. My twin flame would be Capricorn, Aries, and Leo right here with red, blue, and green. And you see your moon sign, or the cycle of the moon when you're born, determines your divine feminine and divine masculine. So that's what a twin flame is. You just have to know a whole bunch of astronomy, math, calculus, measuring spectrums, measuring months of the year. There you go. Happy Valentine's Day.